Hi there and welcome back to the Nourishing channel. Today I'm really excited to bring you a really unique instalment of Nourishing Roots because as some of you may know, or if you're a close friend or you've been following me on YouTube for a little while, you'll know that in a few days' time I will be embarking on a trip of a lifetime to Disney World, Florida. And I am so excited. But in this week's episode of the channel, I really want to kind of talk about how you can manage eating disorder recovery while away in Disney World specifically. And the reason I'm doing this is because apart from eating disorders affecting millions of people around the globe, I'm sure as hell sure that a lot of people with eating disorders go to Disney World and in an environment that's based on food and fun and pleasure and all these other things, that they might feel absolutely petrified of how to manage their recovery while away on holiday in what is meant to be the most magical place on earth. But instead of it being the most magical place on earth, it can be the most terrifying if you have a fear around food or you're worried about body image and all these other things that go along with suffering from an eating disorder. So these are things that I'm going to cover in this week's video, while also sharing some of my best tips and tricks on how I am going to prepare to manage my own full recovery while away in Disney World, and how you can help yourself to have a great time if you are travelling to Disney World as well, or for that matter, any Disney theme park. So without further ado, let's get down and deep into the topic of Wonderland. My first tip is to bring along some distraction tools. So this can be especially helpful as well if you're on a long journey, so you might be travelling really far by plane or by car if you're already in the USA. But for myself, I am absolutely petrified of planes, and not only that am I travelling long haul, but I'm also aware that I'm going to be travelling in between time zones. And during that time, I'm going to need some distraction tools for when I'm, worried about taking off on the plane. I'm also going to need some distraction tools while I'm on the plane, just to stop my mind from getting overly anxious. Because as many of you might know and understand, when you feel anxious, that can often offer a window of opportunity for your eating disorder to run in there, sabotage your mind, tell you to not eat, or to restrict food to help reduce your anxiety. But you know what? On this holiday, that is not an option. And for you, if you know yourself that anxiety sends you into a spiral of wanting you to run back to your eating disorder, then distraction tools can really help. So for myself, on the plane, I've got a new reading book. I'm taking away, what else am I taking with me? I've got some magazines, I've got my trusty podcasts to listen to. Podcasts such as Recovery Warriors is great to listen to if you're recovering from an eating disorder. Also, what's another one? Katie Dalebout, Let It Out podcast. That's an amazing thing to listen to for inspiration. And also listening to just happy related podcasts around positive psychology or absolutely anything that you find interesting. I've also got some music downloaded on my phone that's really calming. And actually, I've just found out that if you listen to music that's quite slow and has a very soft rhythm, that can help to slow your heartbeat and also reduce anxiety. Another distraction tool that I'm going to use on the plane is some breathing techniques, some Pranayama breathing techniques that I've learned from practicing yoga. So one of them can be simple as just elongating the breath. So you might inhale for 2-3 seconds, but then allowing the exhale to be a little bit more prolonged. And what that does, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system. And what that simply does is calm down the fight or flight response. Just helps to feel a little bit more centered and grounded, even if you are really high up on a plane. Other distraction tools I'm bringing is a puzzle book, a colouring book, and also my favourite skincare products and makeup, so that whilst on the plane I can take my makeup off, cleanse and tone, moisturise, and also that in itself is a really good distraction tool, and it's self-caring, it's compassionate, and it's a distraction. And whatever helps me to distract me from the fact that I am 33,000 feet up in the air, that has got to be a good idea. So my second tip is to plan a little bit ahead in terms of where you might be eating while you're away in Disney World. So if you are going to Disney, you might already be aware that there are tons and tons and tons of places to eat, and that you can actually book where you're going to eat in advance. So if you download the My Disney Experience app, which you can do on your phone, and you can also look at this on the computer as well by typing in My Disney Experience, you can look at all the different places and parks where there is to eat around Disney World. Or if you're going to Universal, you can do that too. Well, that's on a different website. And even though it doesn't help to, become obsessive with all the different menus and where you might or might not eat in, it can just help to be a bit more reassuring if you can look at the menus and just to know that you will be able to eat something while you're there. And importantly, it's also good to know where you can challenge yourself to eat some fair foods. So for me, Disney World is an absolute amazing opportunity to challenge myself to some foods that I might not have eaten for a while. Things like burgers or veggie burgers, donuts, cakes, cupcakes, biscuits, cookies, you name it, anything Mickey shaped, I'm going to be eating it. And not just for fun, but also for the fact that it's going to give my past eating disorder another good kick up the asshole, just to get itself on moving and make sure that it doesn't come back in my head and ruin my holiday. So other ways that you can plan for food is to make other people in your party or who you're travelling with aware that you might need to eat quite regularly. So for myself, travelling away to Florida, even though I would classify myself as recovered now, I know that I still need to eat quite regularly because my blood sugars can drop quite easily, and I know that for me, ideally, it's good to eat at least 7 times a day. So it's good to have a breakfast, a snack, a lunch, an afternoon snack, and also an evening snack if possible. And for myself, I'm going to be bringing along some backup snacks with me, and not safe snacks either. I'm on about good, big, decent, energy dense snacks. And I'm actually going to be doing another video on that around what you can take to Disney World as snacks to back up, so stay tuned for that. But on another note, it's also good to take some water along with you to prevent yourself from being dehydrated. And in Disney World, you can actually get water for free at most of the kiosks and food outlets, especially what they call counter service outlets. So what I'll be doing, I'm going to be taking a big empty water bottle with me that I can regularly fill up. And what else have I got? I'm also going to buy myself a takeout mug that I can purchase at my Disney resort. And what that allows you to do is to fill up on fizzy drinks or hot drinks or water in the mornings at your specific hotel. So I can take it with me on the journey on the bus into the park that I'm going to, so that I know I'm definitely going to be able to stay hydrated. And on the note of hydration, this is so important when you're in Disney World, because let's face it, if you're from the UK especially, the heat over there apparently is meant to be overwhelming. And if you're dehydrated, you're probably going to feel really weary, you're going to be prone to fainting, and because you might feel so weak mentally, that also might be another window of opportunity for you to want to restrict yourself with food. So if you don't want to let that happen, we need to make sure that you keep yourself regularly hydrated. So ideally, I know you're meant to drink about 8 glasses of water a day, but probably it's best to drink at least around 12 to 16 glasses of water or other fluids per day. Because the last thing you want to be doing is dragging yourself around a park, feeling really tired, exhausted, and having no water available. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be staying on top of my hydration. And on another note of that, I actually don't like the taste of water, but what I am going to be taking with me is some what's called Robinson's flavoured little water concentrated juice. And that's really tiny, but it's concentrated juice that you can just squirt into your water or a hot drink or hot water, and it just adds a little bit of flavouring to just take that horrible edge off water if you, like me, and don't like drinking it. The next tip is to, if you've booked your holiday already, is to start pre-planning your dining experiences. One of the great things about Disney is there are so many nice restaurants to try. Some of them are amazingly themed, they have great food there. And you know what, it'd be really a shame if you went home from Disney World not trying the food that they have to offer or going to these amazingly themed restaurants, instead sticking to safe food options and safe meals. But if you've booked your reservation for Disney already, If you've booked that, I think it's 180 days in advance and you're staying on property, then you can start to book in meals at different restaurants. So you might want to decide that you're going to eat out a few times during your trip, and it's best to book there early to avoid disappointment. So for me, I'm so excited to have been able to book something called Be Our Guest Restaurant, which is a restaurant that's themed all on Beauty and the Beast. And oh my god, I am an absolute massive Beauty and the Beast fan. Well, I'm a die-hard Disney fan, to be honest, but Beauty and the Beast is just, it's one of my favourites. So instead of me, skipping that restaurant because I've got a fear of the menu, I am going to be heading on straight down there for breakfast. And unfortunately, I've not been able to get a reservation for dinner, but for breakfast, I'm going to be filling up on they've got amazing croissants, some like baguettes, some French-inspired breakfasts, and I'm not going to be for 1 second counting calories over there. I just want to be able to enjoy the atmosphere and really soak up all that goodness of not just nutrition, but the experience of making new memories with food. So to retrack a little bit, what you can do is get on the My Disney Experience app or on the website, and you can find out the days that you're going to Disney, and you can look at the different restaurants that are available on your days that you want to go. So if you want to go to a specific restaurant, I'd advise definitely as early as you can booking in. And if you can watch a good channel on YouTube that I'd definitely recommend, is called Disney Food Guide. It's Disney Food Blog, and it's DFB Guide on YouTube. And that has got so many things and videos about the best restaurants that you can do to go and visit while you're in Disney World. Gives some really good inspiration of where you can go to get the best quality ingredients or the best experience of themed restaurants. So definitely check that out. And if you really want to go to a place, book it early, and make sure your bum is going to be on that seat when you eventually get to Disney, because the last thing you want to be doing is roaming around for hours, wearing yourself down, trying to worry about where you can and can't eat, especially if you're going at a really busy time of year, such as the summer or at Christmas time or a holiday. So yeah, that's a great tip for getting your meal sorted a little bit in advance. On a related note to the meal planning, I think it's a really, really good idea to plan in some challenge meals and snacks while you're away. So if you know that currently you're used to eating your little small safe snacks at home and you're used to having the same ones every day or every other day, then you can use your Disney World opportunity to kind of break that rigid routine completely. And you might want to look on DFB Guide on YouTube to see all the amazing snacks that are available while you're away. Like, let's take for example, do you really want to be living off cereal bars when there are so many gorgeous muffins, cakes and cookies to try that are all themed on Disney characters or Disney movies? Like, if you did that, that would be such a shame. And I know for me, I am going to be trying to eat as many Mickey shaped things as I can while I'm in Disney, because I know for a fact that when I was ill, one of my kind of goals in recovery was to get my arse into Disney World and to be able to experience it fully as though I would have wanted to when I was growing up as a child and a teenager, because I really missed out on that. And I don't want you to miss out on that experience if you are travelling to Disney World. Like, go and grab it by the balls, literally, and go and have a darn good time. And don't allow all your eating disorder rituals to sneak on the plane with you or sneak over in the queue lines with you and trying to make you restrict. It's really, really important to just, say yes to life while you're over there and have a really good time with all the amazing snacks that are already available. My next tip is all about staying calm and also making sure you schedule in some relaxation times while you're in Disney. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is because as much as Disney is an amazing place to visit, how magical, and no matter what your age is, it's great to go and go there, but in reality it can also be a bit of an overwhelming experience. And if you're someone who suffers from anxiety or social anxiety or doesn't like to be in crowds a lot, being in Disney can be so overwhelming, and it can potentially even trigger things like panic attacks or feeling as though you need to go and retreat somewhere. And also it's a very, very exhausting holiday. So if you're someone who's maybe currently gaining weight and eating disorder recovery, you might also need to be aware that, not to walk around too much. And unfortunately, Disney is a massive, massive, massive place, and the likelihood is you're going to be walking around a lot and feeling exhausted, especially with the heat pounding down on you in the height of summer or August, September time. It can get really, really hot. So my advice on that would be to take some days where you can just schedule out of the parks to just chill out, go to one of the resorts nearby, go and book yourself in a nice meal, or even have a day out of the Disney parks and go to somewhere like a Florida mall, go and do some shopping, go to a beach, do something that's not specifically all about running from queue line to queue line, going on all the rides, because as good as that is going to really, really drain you in the long run. And if you are in a park on a really, really hot day where you're feeling drained, then try to take some time out of the day, especially around midday when it's really, really hot, to just go somewhere, go and grab yourself a drink, a snack, go in a shaded area. You could even watch a show scheduled in around lunchtime. So you've got that time to recuperate, re-energise yourself, get yourself back in Disney mode and refresh. So for me, what I'll be doing around midday is I'll definitely be finding some shade, some food, potentially sometimes I might go into a resort or back to our hotel, which, to let you know, this time we're staying in All-Star Movies, which I'm so excited about. It's a value resort, but let's face it, it's Disney themed and you can't go wrong with that. My next tip is around not overdoing it while you're in Disney. So I know for a lot of you out there, myself included, there is a temptation to want to do absolutely everything and anything while you're at Disney World. You might want to pre-plan everything to the max and shove everything in a short window of time. But regardless of how long you're going for, I'd really recommend spacing it out and not trying to do everything at once, because that's going to drain you. And if you are a perfectionist, you're going to feel disappointed that the likelihood is you're not going to get absolutely everything done. So my recommendation is to step back, note down things like the rides and things that you definitely want to do, and span them out over a course of a few days rather than trying to cram everything in one day. The same goes for planning in meals and planning in days out and parks. Like, don't try and go to every other park in one day. Like, maybe just focus on one and then having a break, then maybe going to do something different in the evening, something that's a little bit more relaxing. You might also want to go to some of the water parks that are in Disney for a relaxing day. Another great therapeutic activity to do outside of the Disney parks is Discovery Cove, which is swimming with dolphins. And this is something I'm hoping to do while we're away. We're not sure yet, depending on the weather, but if you do have an opportunity to go to Discovery Cove and you can afford it, I definitely recommend it. Not only due to the fact that it's relaxing, but it can be also very therapeutic as well. And if it's something that you're really interested in dolphins and wildlife conservation, then that might be something really nice to do and add another little special memory to your trip. Another tip I'm going to mention is maybe not something for everyone, but if you've got eating disorder quite at a severe level, so you're maybe extremely underweight or you really struggle to walk around a lot, and for example, you might be standing in a queue for a long time and you don't think you can cope with that, especially if you're feeling quite weak in the heat and prone to fainting, then one thing you can do in the parks is apply for a disability pass. So if you think that standing in long queues is going to be difficult, what I'd recommend doing is you can do this, I think, in your hotel, or when you get into the Disney parks, there is like a main reception area. I think it's called like the town hall or something like that in the Magic Kingdom. You can go and speak to them, and what they can give you is a special pass where when you go to a queue and it might have like a really long waiting time, they will ask you to then go away for that amount of time. So say it's like an hour and you don't think you can queue up for that long. They'll simply send you away for an hour. You can do whatever you want for an hour instead of standing in the queue. And then when that hour's up, you can simply return back to the ride and present your pass, and you'll go through a fast pass queue or be sent to the front of the line for you to then enjoy the ride. And I know for some people that might be seen as, oh, that's too much of a privilege, I don't feel comfortable with doing that, it's kind of cheating the system. I'll kind of emphasise that it's not, because at the end of the day, your health comes first. If you know that standing in a long queue for hours or sometimes even longer than that, if it's a really busy day, is going to drain you, then it's really good to have a backup plan. And my final tip is to simply go and have an amazing time. Like, don't allow your eating disorder to hold you back in a place where you can fully embrace your childhood again and just break free from the restrictions and compulsive patterns that are at home. And even if you move into a different time zone, don't let that stop you from, absolutely enjoying life to the full. Like, don't make it an opportunity to skip meals or restrict yourself in any way. Just honestly grab life by the balls while you're there and have an amazing, amazing time. You won't regret it. So at the end of this video, I'd love to just say, have an amazing trip. Don't let the eating disorder come along. Just have as much fun as possible. Take as much preparation as possible. Have some safe snacks, but don't revolve your life or trip around them. And just challenge yourself to enjoying life to the max. So on that note, it's a goodbye from me. Have a great time, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye.